There are some reports out there from the Orlando Magic that are pretty much saying they are looking for some more offensive firepower. There's a lot of discussions going on with the state of the Chicago Bulls and the Orlando Magic. Could they be back on the Chicago Bulls phone for a potential trade? Let's go ahead and talk about it and break it all down. But before we do that, you know you got to hear the music first.
Cognac, gang.
Shot Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on today's daily episode. So if you tuned in with me today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Inching closer and closer to that AK. We appreciate y'all for the tremendous support that y'all been showing us over here on Shot Bulls podcast. But hey, could the Chicago Bulls enter trade talks with the Orlando Magic? We shall see. But hey, it is coming from my man's Kevin O'Connor, who covers the NBA and does a really good job of placing out the information that is necessary for us to go out there and make informed decisions and just stay, up to date with things going around in the NBA. Now, there has been some reports that say that the Chicago Bulls could potentially be looking to trade back with some teams. And one of those teams that's been thrown out since they have 2 draft picks has been the Orlando Magic, who have the 16th pick and the 25th pick. So it's been some of those type of discussions on what the Chicago Bulls will actually do with the number 12 pick in just a couple weeks here. So what Kevin O'Connor placed out for everybody was, hey, the Orlando Magic, they're willing to trade away some pieces and draft capital if they can acquire a person that will allow them to have some offensive firepower. So enters the Chicago Bulls, who there's constantly things going on around the Chicago Bulls right now. And what Kevin O'Connor placed out there for us was a potential trade that includes, per se, if it was to go down with the Chicago Bulls, it'll look something like Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac in the 16th pick for Kobe White. Very, very intriguing trade package, to say the least. I'm not even going to lie to you. Definitely think about a Cole Anthony. You know what I'm saying? A guy that has been relatively, decent. I give him decent. Definitely had his fair share of injuries here and there, but definitely has had, some really good moments and not so great moments down with the Orlando Magic, to the point to where he's found himself, in a kind of a weird situation with his role. Sometimes you see him, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you see him a lot, sometimes you don't see him a lot. But I still think that he's a solid player. I wouldn't count, I wouldn't put him on that level of a Kobe White, but he is a decent player. Then you talk about Jonathan Isaac. This is a guy who early on in his career had some major injuries in 2020 and 2021, and then has started to slowly but surely get himself back into the realm of the NBA and being more consistently seen as a player. Now, neither one of these guys come out and be some crazy scoring type of guys, but Cole Anthony gives you a little bit more offensive firepower than a Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac gives you more of that perimeter defense that the Chicago Bulls desperately need. And what adds on to the intrigue is the 16th pick. So I think that's something that the Chicago Bulls would think about. But if you asking Bobby, we shooting it down. That's just me. Now, I understand there's some intrigue about these 2 players, and then you going out there getting the 16th pick to continuously to reshape the roster. But my position has been the same. I understand there could be a possibility of seeing Kobe White go. I understand that. I'm not oblivious to it. I'm not naive to that conversation and that thought. But I would like to see the Chicago Bulls run with Kobe White. That's just me. I would love to see a backcourt with Josh Giddey and Kobe White to see how it all pans out. But in reality, I do understand that there's a reality that Kobe White could be gone. Now, it's all going to come down to how the Chicago Bulls feel about this stuff and how they are thinking about this stuff and how they want to pivot and continue to reshape this team. Because if you're thinking about it, the Chicago Bulls got a lot of young players that they could potentially run with. Does that make the Chicago Bulls a playoff contender? I'm not ready to put it on wax yet, but it is very interesting when we say, hey, we got Kobe White, Josh Giddey, Montes Buzelis, a potential big that could be coming into the team, and then whoever else you want to throw out there in your starting lineup. Then right now, as it currently stands, without any moves being made, you're talking about a bench of Alonzo Ball, a Ayo Dosunmu, a Patrick Williams, a Dalen Terry, and maybe one or the other, a Zach Collins or a Jalen Smith. That's very intriguing to me as a young team. Does that still keep us closer to mid? Yes, it does. But those guys, the way that they're going to go out there and play, that could be some type of, intrigue in there to see if Josh Giddey could take a step forward. If Kobe White can go out there and be that 20 plus point per game player that we know he can be or believe that he could be. This past season got up to that 20-point average. Can Kobe White take another step? Absolutely, but it's not on us. And I always said it's not on us. It's on these players. Does Montes Buzelis have that runway to where he could take another step in his development? Absolutely. Ayo Dosunmu was missing last year. So you got a lot of different things that you can work with. However, the Chicago Bulls still need to add talent to this team. We know that the plan coming into this, before we even got into the draft, was we want to go ahead and make sure that we draft a young player to bring on, and we're going to look at options to bring in another player onto the Chicago Bulls. For right now, for what that stands for is just 2 additional players. But that does not mean the Chicago Bulls can't pivot, or at least, you adjust a little bit to bring in more young players with experience. That's been their whole motto up until this point. Right now, we want young players that are decent or good with some potential upside and with experience in this league. You look at the guys that they had around. You talk about Ayo Dosunmu, still relatively young with experience. Josh Giddey, the person they traded for, still only 22 years old or something like that with experience. Kobe White, now he's edging up into that, up into that. Yeah, he's a solid veteran role now. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that these guys are going to have a lot of options, at least in my mind, to potentially move off Kobe White. And they're going to have some options to move off of Nikola Vucevic, maybe some limited options to move off Alonzo Ball. But there will be options for the Chicago Bulls to acquire draft capital. And it's going to be up to the front office and how they navigate this entire thing to say, hey, this is how we're going to move. And it's going to be interesting to see as we get closer and closer to this draft to see how the chips fall around the NBA, because there are some teams that are posturing themselves that want to go out there and get a Kevin Durant, get a Giannis, but then there are some teams that know they don't have a fucking shot. So you got to do other things. So it's going to be interesting to see how the Chicago Bulls pivot and make all this stuff happen. And I think that though the trade, the trade is very intriguing. They dangling Cole Anthony, they dangling Jonathan Isaac with the 16 pick. Very intriguing stuff, because they're in like the other side of the discussion that of the people that saying, hey, let's execute the trade. We get a Cole Anthony, we get a Jonathan Isaac. Jonathan Isaac looked like a guy that could be a long-term solution for the Chicago Bulls and potentially a starter next to Montes Buzelis. Now you get one that is hella gifted in Montes, and now with Jonathan Isaac, you get that perimeter defender that you absolutely can utilize on your team and as a starter potentially. You will see how that can all work out. And then you can go out there and have the 12th pick and the 16th pick to bring on 2 more young players in the first round, and then move back in and then operate and try to select somebody in the second round with the 45th pick. So it's very, very intriguing. It's very, very intriguing. If you think that, I think that the conversation can go either way with it, but I'll let y'all know where I stand on it. Let me know where you stand on it, because I think it's definitely interesting to see if the Chicago Bulls could enter these trade talks with the Orlando Magic, and not in this time, you don't shoot yourself in the foot unless Kobe White goes out there and do what Alex Caruso did. And I don't think the Orlando Magic can go out there and win a championship within the next 2 years. So it could be something that's, intriguing. But if Kobe White gets to an Eastern Conference Finals, hey, we already know the revisionist historians, they're going to come out here and try to scold the Chicago Bulls. But hey, when you go out there and you execute these trades, you're not going to always win them right away. Sometimes the teams that are executing a trade, the win is in the short term for some teams, and then the other on the back end, the win could be for the other team in the long term. It's like the Josh Giddey, Alex Caruso trade, which has been coming back out and got people still up in arms. Look, we already let out that frustration. Somebody trying to revisit the damn thing, revisit the damn conversation. Like, yeah, the Bulls absolutely could have got a first round pick. We know this. We know this. We know they could have got a first round pick. Duh, it wasn't rocket science. Y'all don't need to come out here and tell us that they actually could have got it. We know they actually could have got it. We just wasn't the people on the phone that could have got it. Because I know I would have asked for two of them things. You want Alex Caruso? I want Josh Giddey. You at least got to give me one. Like one, at least one. But that didn't happen. So it's okay. But I still think that, man, this trade talk is going to be interesting to say the least, man. I think that if you come into the table and you saying that you are not going to, like if you go to Kobe White and you say, Kobe White, man, do you want to extend now? We kind of know you don't. But if you just go to him and be like, hey, do you want to go and extend? Bro, shoot it down. You say no. And then let him play out a prove-it year. I mean, you understand that he has outplayed this contract. It's bad. Like, he's worth more than $11 million. We know this. We all know this. He's outplayed the contract. So to expect him to just go from 11 to what, 22? You're like, can he take it? But if I'm Kobe White, no, I'm not taking 22 when guys paid Jalen Suggs 30 and you about to give Josh Giddey close to 30. So no, I want my 32. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things to where there's a lot of layers to it, and you could just really say, hey, you know what I'm saying? If you feel like you can't retain Kobe White in the free agency period of 2026, it might be best to go out there and just move sooner rather than later. Maybe you look at this whole type of situation and maybe might want to move him near the trade deadline. That's an option as well. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, I'd rather keep him on a squad, let him run with the young guys, and see if he can be that 24-point a game scorer. If he goes up to 24, 25 points per game, hey, that's a $30 million player right there. Now, is it going to be conducive to winning? That's another thing we have to see, but we understand, or we have to understand, it's not one man that can go out here and win playoff series. We looking at it right now. One man cannot go out there and win playoff series. Look at Donovan Mitchell. He dropped buckets for the Cleveland Cavs. Nobody else showed up with him. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Anthony Edwards. He was trying to get it in versus the OKC Thunder. You had some support here and there, and at times he faltered and didn't really give us the production that we knew or believe he could give them. Bye-bye. It's about team construction. So I think it's going to be a conversation, man. It's going to be a conversation that's going to continue to happen. It's going to be a conversation that continues to enter our minds and things like that. And we looked at the Chicago Bulls back then and we was like, hey, you could have moved out DeMar DeRozan faster. You could have moved out Zach LaVine faster. You could have moved out Lonzo Ball faster. So if the Chicago Bulls move out Kobe White fast, how many people are going to sit there and castigate the Chicago Bulls? It's going to be an interesting thing. But hey, before we go, just going to give out the latest mock that I've been seeing around the NBA. We got some different things coming from different networks and stuff like that. The latest from CBS, they believe that the Chicago Bulls are still going to draft Colin Murray Boyles. We got ESPN ESPN has the Chicago Bulls taking Noah Essigwe. The Ringer has the Chicago Bulls taking Kaman Maluwa. And Yahoo Sports has the Chicago Bulls taking Drake Powell. That's the latest mock. Out of all those, the two most intriguing ones is Noah Essigwe and the Ringer with the Chicago Bulls selecting Kaman Maluwa. Those are the two most intriguing. I'm not pooper, for lack of a better word, on Colin Murray Boyles. I just think that with so much defense that he brings, I would love to see a little bit more offense from the kid. That's just me. Drake Powell, I think it's a reach. I understand that he's been rising up the charts, but I think it's a reach. That's just me. I think that move right there is kind of like a reach. Now, if you do execute a trade and get the 16th pick, he can go there. He can go there. But at 12, with the potential of having so many guys right there, yeah, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, especially if Malawak is there. Derek Queen is there. Noah Esigus is there. Hell, Igor Demon is there. Igor Demon might be there. I'm just saying, I like guys a little bit more better than a Drake Powell. I'm not even going to lie to you. And I understand, like, he got some game. I'm not trying to sell the kid short, but when you got your board, you got your board. Everybody's going to have their difference in opinion, but your board is your board. And my board has Drake Powell down here with more guys in front. Same with Kyler Murray Boyles. But we'll see, man. We only 14 days away, and it's going to be cracking. I can't wait because we got to get this over with. We got to get it over with. I'm ready for Summer League in July. I'm ready for Bulls Fest in August. Let's go. But football coming back around that time. Yeah, y'all, my sports fans, we ain't got much longer, man. We ain't got much longer. But that's enough of me yapping and rambling off of that. But yeah, man, that's it for today's show, y'all. Go ahead and let me know how y'all feeling about the Chicago Bulls potentially entering trade talks with the Orlando Magic again. Do you think it'll be a good idea? Would you trade Kobe White for Cole Anthony, Jonathan Isaac, and the 16th pick? I'll let you know where I stand. Let me know where you stand. But hey, thank y'all so much, man. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all always see red. And y'all already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac.